my new show featuring incredible new brands and how they got started. Today's guest is Alberta Liao, owner and creator of the brand Jinka, a plant based tuna spread. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me on the show. I'm so excited to be here talking to you. And yeah, we started really from a nonprofit organization for children aged between 8 all the way to 12. And so I actually came from a background of real estate development, so very far from food.
Mhm.
But I've always had a passion in cooking. We talked a little bit about, going to Johnson and Wales
That's
before
right.
this. I took a couple classes in the CIA as well. So I
Hmm.
always really had this passion in food, but it never made it my career. It was always more of a hobby for me. And so every year I go back to this nonprofit and I would always be in charge of the mid-afternoon snack because I liked to cook and so I was in charge of it. And so in 2018, the topic at the summer camp at that time was all about sustainability. There was a lot of news surrounding, the plastics found in the ocean and how it's really harming the ocean life, particularly the cutest little turtles,
Yeah,
um, with plastic straws, and then also the plastic around the cans.
sure, sure.
So when I wanted to make the mid-afternoon snack, I really wanted it to reflect the um the topic of sustainability, and then also make something that I used to like eating as a kid, which was a tuna salad sandwich, which I'm sure most kids love. And so, got in the kitchen with my grandma, and my grandma's been a vegetarian now for 60 plus years. She used to own her own noodle shop back in Taiwan,
Oh,
which, yeah, which became extremely famous to the point where they were actually selling and shipping to Japan from
wow.
Taiwan at that time. Yeah, but then she ended up moving to America with my mom. And so she's always been, making amazing vegetarian food and always loved experimenting with plant-based proteins. So, in her time it was very innovative.
I'll say yeah, that's way ahead of
Um,
the
and
curve.
so,
That's way
mhm,
ahead of the curve.
yeah, and yeah, definitely. And so, gone to the kitchen with her. We started talking about this experiment I wanted to do, and we ended up making a plant-based tuna spread.
Wow.
So we made those into yeah, so we made this into a plant-based. Oh, sorry, you'll hear my dog.
Oh, that's okay. I have a dog too, running around here somewhere.
So we made our plant-based tuna sandwich. We shared it with the summer camp for the mid-afternoon snack, and the kids ended up absolutely loving it. And
Wow.
so they were telling their parents about it. And the parents started asking us about it because it was so easy to make. It held up really well in their lunch boxes. Well, not lunch boxes, but and from morning until mid-afternoon. So it would have held out really well in their lunch boxes. And so they're asking us for that recipe and how they could make it. And so in 2018, we hadn't seen anything very similar to our product in the supermarkets yet. So we, of course, we did give them the recipes, but then at the same time, we also started developing it a little bit more.
Right.
And at that time, I had just left my job in Taiwan, in real estate development. And so I came back. I was jobless. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, if I wanted to continue down the real estate path or if I wanted a change in my life. So I really saw this as an opportunity. And so I started working with my mom and my grandma, who are both, amazing entrepreneurs. My mom was a single mom who, raised myself and my brother. And so all while working. So absolutely amazing woman. So we got together and they've always wanted to create a, complete plant-based brand that could be sold to the supermarkets to
Sure.
encourage more people to eat vegetarian and eat plant-based because of all the health benefits that came from it and of course the sustainability aspect of it as well. So got
That's
together and
incredible.
we ended up soft launching it.
No, I said that's an
And then we
incredible
so we got
story. Wow.
together.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. But yeah, so we ended up getting together and we soft launched it in Rainbows, which is the very first store that accepted us. So huge shout out to Rainbows grocery store in San Francisco. They supported our brand when we were first starting, and we ended up selling out really well within the first 2 weeks, and then they ended up ordering, double from the first order. And so we thought, hey, we really have a product here that people were looking for and people enjoyed. Um, and so after that, we soft launched in another 10 stores. A couple of them were in San Francisco, but most of them were on the East Coast. And then COVID hit. So once COVID hit, we did end up losing most of our accounts, except for Rainbows. But we had also gone to the fancy food show at that time, and Whole Foods ended up seeing our brand, loving it, and then bringing it on. And so that was really our second start for our brand. And then now, we are working with, amazing, national brokers, and we're just really trying to get our product into more national chains. So that way more people who are looking for a sustainable but tasty seafood brand or product, so they can get their hands on our product as well.
That's awesome. Got a question for
So
you.
that's
The
my story in a
name,
nutshell.
no, that's good. I mean that's so impressive. I mean, because I've been around the food business and how brands have launched in. It's very difficult. You're in a tough marketplace going into retail stores, as you know, because you're living it. Question. First off, where does the name Jinka come from? Why is it called
Yeah,
Jinka?
thank you for asking. Thank you so much for asking that. We actually spent about a month trying to decide on what our name was going to be. And to take you through that whole journey, so our product is a non-GMO soy base, and that's where we get all our protein and fiber and potassium and calcium from. So originally we wanted to include the soy aspect into our name as well. And also coming from a Chinese and Taiwanese background, we really want to include the Asian culture into it as well. So we started playing with the Chinese word for soy, which is dough. And so originally we wanted to be called Miss Dough. Miss, because we're an all woman company, and then dough because soy. So that was originally the first name, and we were testing it out a little bit. Went to our local dog park. Whenever we were at a supermarket or we were with friends, we would ask them about this name, and everyone was always having a very difficult time saying the name. So we're like, okay, that might not work. And then so afterwards, we're eating at the dinner table, and we just kept talking about Jinka, and we're like, like it's so healthy, and healthy in Chinese is 健康. And then we just kept saying
Okay.
that word, and finally I was like, yeah, and finally I was like, you know what? Like, why don't we just take that word and then turn it into, an English rendition of it? So 健康 into Jinka. And so that's how we came up with the word Jinka,
Interesting.
or the name Jinka.
Because it is such a creative name, it'll be very memorable. When there's
Mhm.
other brands out there that have similar names, and I'm just so impressed. I don't know if you remember, but it was probably about a year ago. Through David Foley, our friend, he sent me some of your product, the sample, and I was blown away. I grew up eating tuna fish as a kid every day, probably at least 3 days a week at school growing up. But it was in the olive oil, and they served it up. It was wrapped in before your time. We didn't have bags, Ziploc bags. It was wrapped in like wax paper. It was put in a brown bag, and since it was like being Italian, everything was in olive oil. It would leak out of the sandwich, and you always found, the non-Italian kids already had all clean bags, and I had to look for the one with the grease spot on the bottom. I knew that was my tuna fish sandwich. It was delicious. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big tuna guy, and I even worked on the fishing boats catching tuna way back when. But once I tried your product, and I was a little skeptical because, plant-based tuna, really? I was blown away. I mean, the texture, spot on. The flavor profiles, spot on. And I tell people, I go, hey, I told some good friends that I was going to be interviewing you, and I wanted to say that uh, if people are intimidated by thinking that it's a bunch of seaweed or something like that, they're going to be completely blown away, and it'll be their new tuna because of the health benefits. Now I'm diabetic, so I have to kind of watch what I eat, and I watch my calories, and you got to work out hard, but eating your brand is got all the right features. I mean, it's so healthy for you, I mean, vegan and dolphin free. I like that, dolphin free. But enough protein, omega-3, no preservatives, no additives, nut free, zero cholesterol, which is huge for me personally. So I was very impressed. My question now is, I know how hard it is to get and stay in retail. How long did it take you to get it into that Rainbow store? Did you just walk in and they tasted it and said, "Let put it on the shelf"?
Yeah, I think we are very lucky that we're positioned as a plant-based at the time that we are positioned at a plant-based. I think with, the introduction, especially with Seaspiracy, the Netflix documentary, and then also I think people just wanting to find healthier alternatives and then also being more aware of the sustainability aspect of it. I think that put us in a really great position. And then, so of course, when we went to Rainbows, um, taste was definitely the most important thing. But I think just seeing the trend of people wanting to find more plant-based alternatives definitely did help us get our product in a lot quicker. And also being the very first, plant-based tuna spread in the refrigerated department. That's always something that we really love priding ourselves on, being a unique brand. Also because all our brand positioning is geared towards children and kids.
Hmm.
So we started from a nonprofit summer camp for kids. And so we really wanted to keep that whimsical, fun element in our branding and packaging as well. And I think all of those ideas coming together really put us in a really great position of getting into stores. So if you look at our packaging for our plant-based tuna, um, one for our ceiling, we have fun facts on it with our mascot, which was a really cute and fun story in itself, where it's a really cute, fun, mythical creature that includes a lion body with antlers and then a seaweed tail. And the story behind that was just because our product includes a little bit of the sea, right? We have the algal oil that's organically sourced. So you have the omega-3 factor in it,
Hmm.
but then the actual base of it comes from non-GMO soy, which is a land product. And so combining those together, we really wanted that our mythical mascot to reflect that. Um,
Is it a
sorry.
he or a she, or is it?
It's a she.
It's a she.
We have a cute little Rottweiler. She's 90 pounds and she just
Oh, just
loves
a
barking
baby.
at anything she sees. She's a baby.
He's a baby, 90 pounds. That's
Yeah,
great.
we always tell people who walk by, we're like, "Oh no, she's fine. She's just a pup. She loves everyone
Yeah,
while
yeah,
she's barking."
yeah. No, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. Mhm.
Another question is for our listeners out there, if you can give them some advice on how you launched, say, into Whole Foods. I mean, that's a huge account. I noticed on your website, you got a great website, by the way, and that's where people can order if they don't have the store nearby, correct? And
Yeah.
it showed where all those stores are available. A lot on the East Coast, more in New England area, like Big Wise,
Mhm.
and then Whole Foods from San Francisco down to San Diego. And I'm in San Diego, so
Mhm.
I know where to get it now. And so if you
Yeah,
can,
definitely.
yeah, so if you just give the listeners a little bit of advice on, your experience on launching a new product, say in Whole Foods, what they kind of expect, and how you create that brand and keep the brand going.
Yeah, definitely. So I think number one is definitely the social media aspect of it, getting our products into as many people's Instagram or TikToks as possible. So when we had first launched with Whole Foods, we did a whole campaign with mermaids.
Oh,
And so
okay.
the camp, yeah, and it was a really fun campaign because we got to work with mermaids who have these such a amazing, audience, right? Ranging from people who is all about sustainability to people who just want to keep that fun aspect of it, right? I think from kids, even until we're adults, sometimes we always have that back thought and in the back that thought in the back of our minds where, we want to keep that childlike feeling alive. And mermaids are a great way to do it because it's such a mythical creature, and there's so much lore and history behind them, that it really creates this mythical idea. But it's also like, are mermaids real, right? So
Mhm.
I think there's that really fun connection there. But then having mermaids help us with the campaign. The campaign was all about, what do mermaids eat? And so it was a really fun play on, I think it was Bumblebee in the past of what do mermaids eat back then, which was tuna. And that's what they did to, push their product. And so we worked with an amazing, um, PR and social media company called Kindervising, and they really helped us with this and getting in touch with mermaids. And then having that to be our slogan as a little bit of a jab, because now, what do mermaids love to eat? And it's more plant-based tuna. And so
That's
I
great.
think that really helped yeah, and I think that really helped pique interest in our product, like you were saying, like what is plant-based tuna? How can there be plant-based tuna? And also how does it compare to real tuna? And kind of going back to what you were saying, we pride ourselves on every product that we create to be nutritionally similar to the real product. So our plant-based tuna, it has 14 grams of protein, 250 milligrams of plant-based omega-3 that is directly from the algae, which is where the fish gets it from anyway. So you're not harming any fish while you're getting your nutrients. And then fiber, which is something that meat doesn't have, that we have, that helps with digestion and helps you absorb the protein content that you're eating. And then amongst the others, we got potassium, calcium, and all of that. But I think it's really about showing the consumers that you're getting the same product. It's tasty. You're getting the nutrition of it, but you're also doing something that is giving back to the ocean and it's giving back to the earth. There's a sustainability aspect of it that you can achieve by just going to your store and buying something that's plant-based. So I think those things combined really helped us get into Whole Foods and also into other stores such as Molly Stone's now. We just got into Bristol Farms as well.
Oh,
And so
nice.
hopefully we can get into more chains. Yeah. So for more people to try our products. And from there, really, it helped segue our way into new branches that we have just launched this year, which is a plant-based crab cake popper and then
Oh,
also a
wow.
plant-based calamari. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
explain those a little bit
yes.
more. I mean, obviously, I know what calamari is, squid.
Mhm.
But what's it look like? Is it like the same
Yeah,
spread? Is
definitely.
it the spread? Yeah.
No, so our plant-based crab cake poppers are little mini bite-sized crab cakes. That's great for snacking, nutritionally similar as well. And then our plant-based calamari, which I'm so excited about because it's actually part of our new clean label, clean ingredient, minimal ingredient product line, and it's also completely allergen-free. So one of the main questions that we always get from a lot of our consumers is, hey, like, do you have a product that's soy-free? And we didn't at that time. And so finally, after a year of testing and a year of experimenting with like the flavors and the texture of it, we finally have a product that's for people who are not only gluten-free, but also soy-free. So that's our calamari, and it comes in frozen. We have different size rings, so it looks like real calamari. It's already breaded, and it's just super easy to use. You go home, you put it in, you can bake it, you can air fry it, or you can just traditionally deep fry it.
Oh, that's actually so fascinating because I was on your site and you have some great recipes and some great recipe ideas. And to
Mhm.
have an ingredient that's the main ingredient that has such versatility and health benefits, I mean, that's like a whole new cookbook right there for me. I mean, I just love the
You're
fact
right.
I can't wait to try the calamari and the crab cake. We'll have to get some samples so I can, talk it up again. But
Yeah.
to come out with a new product. So is there, I guess my question is, why did you go to calamari and then with the crab cake? Why did you try other things that didn't work out as
Mhm.
well, or
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I
it's all right?
is the background noise okay? Is it
No, you're fine.
okay?
Oh, I see
Perfect.
you.
Perfect. Yeah, so for the calamari, as I mentioned before, we really wanted to create a product that has a cleaner label. So our base there is using chia seeds and pea protein and also mountain yam. But beyond that too, what we really wanted to do was focus on another ocean animal that I feel like has kind of got lost in a little bit. So I was actually reading about them I forgot which website, but it was since like the early 2000s. There was a campaign to say, like we should eat less fish because, especially for tuna, they're overfished, it's destroying the environment. So let's focus on squid
Oh,
because
okay.
squid is such an abundant resource, right? They reproduce extremely quickly. And so because of that, they're like, okay, let's focus on squid, let's eat squid because they're just a more readily abundant and available protein that's also very healthy for you, similar to fish. But I think through that process, we're seeing now that the fish is on the not fish, sorry, squid is on the endangered list now. But that just gets swept under the rug so
Yeah,
many times,
I didn't know that.
especially the fishing method. Yeah, especially the fishing method that they're using is also trawling. And so, as we know, trawling is one of the most destructive fishing
Sure.
methods out there, right? You're not only getting a lot of different bycatches, but you're also destroying complete ecosystems, and the entire bottom of the ocean is just being pulled up with it. So that was news to me. I didn't know that either. So I was like, you know what, this seems like a really great way to foray into like a completely new product that would really complement our plant-based tuna and also our plant-based crab cakes. So squid tuna, everyone loves eating squid. You go to any Italian restaurant, they have
Oh yeah.
calamari there, right? You go to an Asian restaurant, salt and pepper squid,
Oh
right?
yeah, my favorite.
Um, exactly. So it is also a extremely widely consumed seafood product. And so we're like, you know what, let's give this a try. We first created our first line. We tried it at a demo when we were at Molly Stone's demoing our product. And it just got really wonderful feedback. People love the texture of it. They loved the taste of it. And more than anything, for us at least, we have we're really happy with it because it's very healthy and people with a lot of allergens can also enjoy it.
How do you feel about when you're doing demos and stuff? Because I've done those before. Uh,
Yeah.
what audience out there, like young people or old people, who are the toughest to convince that this is to get it into their mouth? I guess because once they try it, they'll
Yeah,
like it. But how do you get it? Nah, I don't eat that kind of stuff. How do you convince them?
100%. Yeah. It's funny. We convinced them by screaming at them. No, we
Eat
we whenever
it.
yeah, we just force it in their
Force
mouth.
them. That's not a bad.
Yeah, because once you get in the mouth, they have to swallow it and they'll like it.
Yeah, then you got them.
um, no, so I think for us, kids are they love to try new things. So that
Mhm.
wasn't a huge problem for us, but they are very picky eaters as well. But at least they're willing to try it. I think for us it's more I think the older generation, I think they're a little bit more skeptical
Skeptical.
of trying new things. Especially when we say, we're a plant-based product and we use a non-GMO soy. They get a little bit scared because they're like, oh, like I wasn't a big fan of tuna when I was younger, or they're just like, no, that's just something that's too weird and out there for me to try. I'm not ready to try something like this yet. But we've noticed though, like if we're able to convince them to just take a little tiny bite, that they do enjoy the product. And that's one of the things that we found is some people who don't like tuna do like our product because it doesn't have the traditional smelliness and like in your face, canned tuna smell and taste that the traditional canned tuna has.
Hmm.
And so people like that. It's a more mild taste, but similar nutrition of it. And so they end up becoming plant-based tuna lovers, which I think is wonderful. Um, but for us, yeah, I think that's just one of the ways that we
Hmm.
can get more people to try our products. Yeah.
So when you were coming out with it, you basically had the original flavor, and now you have
Mhm.
a lemon dill and spicy, which is my favorite. How did you come up with those? Why did you choose those profiles?
Mhm. So original we originally came out with because it's just such a blanket flavor, right? You can add whatever flavorings you want to it.
Hmm.
Lemon and dill was something that was more traditional. Tuna salad flavorings where you have the lemon and the dill. And so that's how we came out with that second flavor. And spicy was because actually we work with so two of the people that we work with, they're Colombians, and they were telling us about, their favorite spices, and we're like, that is so cool. Like, let's try to incorporate that into our third flavor. And so the spice that we ended up using was cayenne, paprika, and then cumin, and then also a chipotle pepper that
Oh, yeah.
they, actually guided us into making. So that's how it came out with our spicy flavor. And we were also experimenting with some flavors that we might come out with in Thanksgiving or December, but either like a truffle flavor for like a seasonal or like a cranberry seasonal flavor just
That'd
because
be
it's just
nice.
so crazy and out there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that would be great. I wanted to tell you a little story. Earlier, I kind of alluded to it. When I was over in London, my son went to an exchange college over at King's College in London. So when I got there, we were walking around by the college, and there was a Starbucks. So I went in there and we grabbed a drink. And on the way out, there was one of the sandwich board signs outside the front door, and it was a Starbucks sign saying "Introducing our new plant-based tuna sandwich." And I immediately thought of you. I got a picture of it somewhere.
Oh,
I'll have to send it to you. I don't know what brand they used, and it was really busy inside, so I didn't get a chance to go back in.
uh-huh.
But I went, Alberta went international. I said, that's pretty dang cool. So I didn't know if it was you or not. And I always
Yeah.
said, well, if I ever get a chance, I'm going to ask her. And I guess obviously you didn't bring it over to London. Um, but it was big,
No,
when you make
unfortunately,
a
that's
sandwich
not
board.
us, but I wish that was us.
Well, it could be, Starbucks here, you know.
Hmm.
So I know
Yeah.
you probably have your hands full when you're running a company. Do you have other people helping with the marketing, and do you have
Hmm.
a whole team of
Yeah. So
folks?
we have No, we try to keep our company as lean as possible.
Mhm.
But so we really outsource most of ours. So from, working with third-party brokers with third-party brokers, and then also our marketing team as well. So that way we can keep a little bit of just a leaner company structure. That's just how we ended up moving forward with that. But we love our marketing team. She does an amazing job with helping us create fun, uh, I guess like fun facts
Yeah,
for
sure.
for Instagram, and we're thinking about jumping into TikTok as well. But part of our social media concept is that we want it to be educational as well, right? Again, going back to starting from a nonprofit summer camp for kids, we wanted to make learning fun. And so all the fun facts, including like on Fridays, we sometimes come out with Fun Fact Friday or Good News Friday as well. If there's any like ocean winds that we have to hear about, or we would love for people to learn about. It's about getting people to come to our Instagram and not only, seeing our plant-based product, but also learning about why we need to be more conscious of, supporting our ocean and letting our ocean thrive and kind of getting back to where it was before, all this overfishing and also the bycatching and the destroying of the habitats and really just letting the ocean heal on itself.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think for us
incredible.
that's what the uh-huh.
Yeah. No, I think
Yeah.
that's a great message. I was going to ask if you give us your Instagram site. Is it my Jinka?
Yeah, it's my Jinka, MyJinka.
And that's also your website as well, which we'll put up
Yes, that's also
later
us.
on. And I'll have to say, I'm so impressed with you because I know how difficult it is to launch a new product in this world and be successful with it. So um, kudos to you and your whole family who created this incredible product. I see it being, we're next. Burger King, basically, I could see it in Starbucks. I could see it being used at like, all the sub shops. I think you're onto something huge. I mean, really big. And I'm so impressed listening to you speak about your company and just the respect that you have for the ocean and the world. I think all tied together, you got one hell of a company there. My Jinka forever, you know?
Oh, thank
Alberta,
you.
well, hopefully we'll have another opportunity to speak down the road.
Mhm.
Maybe I look forward to getting some samples of the calamari and the crab cakes. I could do a little update on that. And you could always watch the branded podcast on all your podcast sites. And we'll be on DBTV as well. And Alberta, I thank you very much for coming on the
Thank
show.
you so much for Thank you so much for having me on the show, and we can't wait to send you samples of our plant-based calamari, and also our crab cakes as well.
Fantastic. Well, till we see you again, folks, you're watching Branded. Take care.